What are you telling me? A classic. A quick background. 2 years ago, my wife had an online affair with an old friend. She was intimate in her conversations, and I don't know the full extent, but I did see emails and chats which were very personal and had loving exchanges. Also, some photos were exchanged. She didn't know those were saved online, which I saw. That were dirty. Anyway, we got through it kind of. I think I just dealt with it and let time pass. I think I accepted it and moved past to some degree, but it was more because I felt like I had no choice. The last year has been okay, but inside I just don't care. We fight like a normal couple about normal things, but in my head, I am always thinking that I could care less if we get over the fight. We have 2 kids and I could not stand seeing them. My work recently took me out of town for a few weeks. I haven't cheated or anything, but I am enjoying not worrying about things and being able to be the real me, which I have not in the last 2 years. I just feel like a weight is lifted and dread going home again back to all that. After 2 years I would have thought I would be better. I haven't had anyone to talk about this with as I feel embarrassed and don't want anyone to know. Though I wasn't the cheater. Since I don't want people to have negative feelings. I love my wife, but it feels more like I love her as a close friend or relative. No desire and no excitement. Like a longtime friend, not a wife. I feel like I am still married for everyone else in my life and hate the thought of being an empty shell forever. Just curious, anyone else who has gone this long after the affair? Emotional or otherwise. We did address it to each other and she completely stopped. She did everything you would want after, and I figured over time it would get better. It did in terms of our day-to-day things, but if she told me tomorrow she was leaving me, I don't think I would be destroyed, maybe even a little relieved. I am an emotional person and just feel like that connection we once had is gone. We just go through the motions. I feel bad because in her eyes things are okay now after 2 years. We still fight and she knows things are not the same, but I feel like it's easier for her. She didn't lose the thought of how I felt about her. She is probably stronger for it, thinking I stayed even though she messed up. I think being away I am able to see how much I have been putting up an act since then. Likely for our kids and for show to friends, family. I just don't want to go back to feeling dead inside when I return home. I guess the real question is, can I live the next 4 years until my daughter is out of high school, or if that even matters really. I hate to not see them every day, and that would feel even worse, I think. Plus, I hate to make teens deal with even more. They have enough of their own problems. Oh, and the other thing is my own guilt. I am a nice person and have tried to be there for her when she needs it since everything. She has a very negative personality and her family is crappy. Prob has a lot to do with our issues, so I am her whole world. He was digital and no doubt what happened. She even had told me her friend was going to visit before I found out about the EQ, but later said she didn't really want that to happen. If he did, I have no idea if it would have become a pa. Anyway, I feel bad hurting her more when she has had a hard year. Not that I plan to return home and end things right now. Her dad passed in Feb, her grandfather last month, and her mom is very unsupportive in general. To throw this on top is a lot for a person, and I do care about her. I mean, we have lived our lives together for 17 years and have 2 great kids. At the same time, I feel like I am sacrificing myself for someone who doesn't deserve it and that I feel like is a sister more than a wife. It just sucks. How to make that leap you know you need to make. I know I need to be free and start fresh, but I am a very caring person. Just can stand hurting anyone, especially my kids. I feel selfish for wanting to be happy at everyone else's expense. I really don't know I even want to anymore. 2 years is a long time. She has her good times when she is really sweet, but there are more times when she is so negative and down. I just feel like such a jerk feeling this way when she thinks things are better. I don't want to live by trying to avoid my own wife. I want to enjoy life and feel positive and happy. I don't want to have the person I live with bring me down. I want them to be the one who lifts me up and excites me. It's not so much the talking thing, it's the reaction. I walk on eggshells around her in general. She does not deal with anything well. Gets bitter, then gets sorry. Before everything I could just deal with those issues, but now the way she acts reminds me of her. I just feel like the on top of the bitter person she has become make me not want to try. I am going to talk about it with family, most likely not go into that aspect, just more general. I have never spoken about this to anyone since I did not want to cloud their views on her. That is sad to even say. I know my family feels like they walk on eggshells around her too, so it would not be a shock. I know I have forgiven her, but it doesn't mean I feel the same. I don't feel anger about the I just know I don't love her like a wife. I love her like someone I have known for a very long time and is the mother of my kids. I just need to figure out, is 2 years long enough for giving it a try? I drove home 10 hours to see my son's game and celebrate my daughter's birthday, then will be driving back for work. I do want a divorce. I know what we had is gone and I am not getting it back. I love her, but not in love. The weird thing is I really have no anger towards her about everything. I think the issue was just the kids. I just don't want to hurt them. I would do anything for them, even stay with my wife. I just know that when they are out of the house in a few years, what I am left with and what will happen, so why delay? Days later. Do you ever fall back in love? I know it's an odd question and there is likely no real answer, but curious people's thoughts. I truly loved my wife the first, say, 5 years we were married. At 20 though, lots of struggles having a kid at 20, but we went through it. Lots of family problems on her side that affected us as well. I would have done anything for her. The next 5 years I still loved her and treated her well even though she had many issues. Not that I was perfect, and her family was horrible. The next 5 years were off and on, but our situation was better. I really did still love her even if it often felt like going through the motions. Again, I am not perfect, but she gets distant, doesn't handle anything well. And I could never talk to her about my stuff because it was too much. Never felt like I had a partner but still loved her. It's just hard to think about putting in more work to end up in the same place. I will do it, probably alone at first. I just think I know myself, but I know you never know. I really have loved my wife for 17 years, but questions come up that make me wonder if it was real love or just our situation put us together. Hard times, 2 unexpected kids. Did we do it because that is just what we thought we should do, or because we really wanted to be together? Aside from marriage issues, we never really had a better option those 17 years that made sense. If we had a few years of no other issues, would we have been great those years? Lots of what ifs I know can never be answered. Right now, I wish I walked away when everything happened. It would have been so much easier. Now I feel like, oops, missed your chance, and now leaving puts the blame on you for walking away. I am a pretty emotional guy, so if I don't like the person I see, I am going to have zero attraction. I don't hate her, I really forgave her. I see her as my really good friend, but I don't feel like I have a wife. It just feels empty and I want more. I just don't see things improving. I know we could communicate better and do more, but I just don't feel like that about her. I feel bad about it, but I wasn't the one who cheated. Is emailing your thoughts cowardly? My wife blows up and turns things around when we do talk. She knows my buttons and pushes them perfectly. After any fight, I am madder that she made me act in a way I know I am not violent or anything. After 2 years of trying to deal with her 6 months of working it out, and the rest with her not wanting to relive it, so I just dealt. I really need to express my feelings. I am away for work and know how our phone conversation will go, as our normal ones have attitude already. I wanted to email my concerns and thought, but feel like I am taking the easy way out. I am not asking for a divorce over email, just want to tell her how I am feeling. Days later. Anyway, I sent her an email, then we talked tonight. Went over how I still feel and our pre-issues are still there. I know she is crushed and feels alone. She has issues being negative and bitter, so she pushes people away. We didn't talk divorce, though it's where I think I am. She said all the same things as after the and it felt like it was. I want someone who will return what I give, but it has always been given in our relationship. Right now, she is saying all the things someone wants to hear, but after 17 years of repeats it just gets old and hollow. I know she means it, but I doubt she will change. I really don't know I could do it with her, but I will do it. I want to be able to say I have no feelings and all the things that I know would kill her to hear, to get real feedback. If she was there, I could not be that open. Honestly, I wanted our talk to go poorly, but when she thinks I will leave, she breaks down if I don't get to that point. She is the same old. A poor reaction makes it easier to move forward. Being good makes me feel like I am the one giving up, though I know that is not the case. I tried for 17 years. I am 37 and don't want to go another 5 years, then realize when it will be even harder. Our kids are out of the house in 5 years and I just can't picture us as the old couple hold hands. I'd be in the basement and she'd be upstairs. I don't want that. A month later. So, I was 100% sure of what I wanted to do, even if I wasn't sure I could get up the courage to do it. I was away for work and came home and we had a talk about things. I know in my heart that I don't love my wife, but now I see her making an effort and going to counseling. She is being very nice, but I have been through all this many times, minus the counseling. I know she thinks things will work out and be okay, but I just don't have anything left for her. Haven't for over a year now. It feels like too little too late. She is a nice person, and if she got over her other issues, who'd be someone I wouldn't mind living with, but I want love, don't want to settle. This is so hard, seeing her feeling like she is getting better and me knowing I don't care anymore. I feel like a jerk knowing how I feel and what she is hoping. Weeks later. Well, I was out of town for work and came back 2 days ago. Wife came down yesterday asking questions, likely for my I really didn't want to go into this before holidays for kids' sake. Well, she asked me when I start going to ICM. I trying to work out my stuff for our marriage. I said I didn't know and just wanted to work on me before thinking about other things. Partly true. I know what I want right now, but who knows once you start talking. I was honest and said I really don't know that I want to work our marriage out at this point. I know it hurt, but she wasn't as bad as I thought. Her next statement kind of shocked me. She asked if I wanted her to move out when I got back from going away again for work. Well, I didn't know what to say, wasn't expecting that one. Seeing it would be right before Christmas, I wouldn't want to have that going on, so I told her no. Could have been more honest when she asked, but I was just in so much shock. Not that I wouldn't want that, just that I always assumed I would have to leave. I would love for her to move out and me care for our kids, 13 and 17. I don't mind the responsibilities of bills and caring. Anyway, that was my shocker for this holiday. Days later. Anyway, she keeps bringing up good things like when we met and other stuff. I read it and start to think about those times. Few and far between, really. It's not so much I think I love her, but more than emotion of knowing what we went through and feeling bad that a D would mean I lose those good memories. I feel sad but not love. Haven't felt love for a long time. Even before the it was barely there. The last few months I was focused on how the relationship was not what I wanted. I no longer had any love for her. And I need more in a relationship, which I cannot get from this. Now I find myself thinking about just settling, but for the wrong reasons. I know I am a really nice, considerate guy. Everyone who knows me loves me, not being crappy, and I am also humble, though funny to say that together. I have a decent job, but looking at my situation after, will I really find what I am missing now? I hate to hurt someone because I don't have what I need to just end up not having it anyway. I am only 38, but not young either. My kids are almost grown, 14 and 18, but still need me. Marrying very young and wife's money habits left us struggling for our entire marriage. Just this past year I have been able to get ahead, everything paid off. Minus house, and some actual savings, but with a D that will also be gone. I want more for my life and a partner to share it with, but feel like I will not have enough to offer. My comment, although OP didn't provide an ending, but it looks like divorce is on the way. The only thing OP is struggling is with his self-confidence. And you need to work on that both physically and mentally. Self-confidence is about being happy with yourself. If you are not happy with your current state, you will lack self-confidence. Story 2. Right after New Year's, my husband of almost 25 years decided to leave. No warning. We had just gone through Christmas and everything was fine. He called me on his way home and asked me to meet him in the car. That he had something to tell me. At that point I got a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. After 25 years we went through a lot of crisis, and never has he wanted to discuss it outside the house. Sure enough, I went out to the car and he told me he was leaving. He loved me but wasn't happy and had not been happy in a while. I suggested we were at a point where we both needed to work on things and we could go to MC. He said no, he found someone else and it had been going on for a while. I could have the house and I wouldn't have to go back to work for a while. He would give me money to pay the bills. I wanted to know who it was, but he refused to say and wanted to know how I wanted to tell the kids. Between 23 to 15, all living at home. He said we would talk in a few days when things calmed down. I kept asking who it was and if I knew the O, but he wouldn't answer the question, so he shuts the car off and comes into the house. Just as he was about to speak, I yelled out, "Your father is leaving. He is not happy with me. He found someone else. I know I could have handled that better, but I was so furious and hurt at that point I didn't know what else to do. I really felt like throwing something at him instead. He then went into the bedroom to grab his things, at which point I followed him and warned him he would end up losing his kids over this, and he replied no, he wouldn't. They would understand. He then tried to get out of the house as soon as possible. We didn't hear from him again until the weekend, when my daughter texted him to see when the paycheck would come, since he obviously stopped the automatic deposit. They made arrangements to meet so he could give them the money and they could bring some more of his stuff to him. He made sure to tell them that he didn't abandon them. He then met with them a week later and started to ask them if they would come over to the house and he would cook them Sunday dinner. The kids were hesitant since we still had no idea what his living arrangements were or even where he was living. 3 weeks later I still had not heard from him, so I thought it was time for me to send an email laying out my side of the story, because in hindsight I knew he had to be demonizing me to himself and the O in order to feel better about himself. He called when he read the email and asked to see the dog and why didn't the kids want to go to his house. I told him we don't know his situation. That's when he told me he was living with her and he thought he told me that. That is when I told him that was why the kids were putting him off. They don't want to meet this person. Not to mention he never shared that piece of information with me, so thanks for once again blindsiding me. Since he was at work and really couldn't speak, I was able to get everything off my chest. I must say I did feel a sense of relief. He said we could meet and discuss everything. I'm almost at 2 months now and still nothing. Next time he met with the kids he confirmed with them that I had said about going to his house. Hopefully, he continues to respect their wishes. I have had no contact with him except for one situation I handled wrong and one where he was waiting for me when I picked up my son so he could visit with the dog. During that visit I kept conversation to a minimum. It was more him telling me about what was going on with him. He had to go away on business for a week. He was feeling like he was getting sick. The first time I saw him, a month after he moved out, the kids were supposed to see him on a Saturday and my youngest woke up with the flu. I texted him. It took 3 hours for him to get back to me, to let him know the youngest wouldn't be joining them, and it led into him wanting to take him to the doctor, which I didn't want. I finally let him take him but kicked myself that I just didn't handle it myself. I feel I handled the second run-in better. So that is where I'm at now. I really have no contact with him, which is fine. He texts the kids daily and sees them on the weekend for a little while. In the beginning I was a mess. I probably still am, but I'm handling it a little better. I haven't worked in 25 years. I was a stay-at-home mom. I panicked. I have no college education. I was married at 20 and was a mom at 21. We grew up together. He was 2 years older than me. I felt like someone who I was supposed to be able to trust after all this time completely blindsided me. Heck, we were sleeping in the same bed the day he left. We were still making future plans into December. I had just said to him I was going to look into trying to get a part-time job in the new year to help with bills. He just started a new job and commissions would not be kicking in for a while. He said no, I didn't have to because the new job would free up his weekends and he could do some home improvement jobs on the side. He has no family except us. His parents are gone. He has no siblings and he really have no relationship with aunts, uncles, and cousins. He forever looked down on people who left their families for someone else. This made absolutely no sense to me. My kids, family, and friends have been my rock, although sometimes I think some of them would like me to get back to normal, and I am trying. Some days are better than others. I had just gone through a stretch of good days and 2 days ago I started having bad days again. Anxiety, breaking out in tears, being afraid of the future. We were still intimate up until a week before he left. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and if I think back now, yeah, there were probably some things that were off, but nothing out of the ordinary. I guess we were at that point that things were changing. The kids were growing up, something I don't think he liked. I had to keep reminding him that the 2 older ones were adults and could make their own decisions. I was starting to wonder what my place would be now that I wasn't needed as much by the kids. I knew he needed me, but when I would try to be supportive, I was told his mother was dead, he didn't need another. We had financial problems, and I did keep a close eye on spending, which he did not appreciate. He would say I was cheap. Like I said, I think we were in transition, but I always thought we would do it together. A week later, I had a horrible time for the first 6 to 7 weeks. I lost 35 pounds and had constant roller coaster emotions. I would just break out crying. I know I was by no means perfect, but I couldn't understand how it happened so suddenly. In December, we were still making plans for the future, still sleeping in the same bed. We were still in the same bed the night before he left. We were still having normal relations until 10 days before he left. His ulcer started to bother him really bad. Now I know why. The past week or so I have been better. I used to entertain ideas that maybe his new relationship would go down in flames and he'd come back and we could go to counseling and restart, but then I realized it was silly, plus I don't want to be a backup plan for him. He's very set in his ways and I don't think he feels any need to work on things. I know the kids are more relaxed and are okay. All kids still live at home. College grad works. She was planning on moving out but has put it on hold for now. Son is in college and other son is in high school. I have reestablished friendships that I gave up 25 years ago when I married him and don't want to lose that again. But the past few days have not gone well. The roller coaster is back, although not as severe or intense as when it first happened. And I don't know if this is normal. I don't want to go back to where this all started. I feel I'm coming along slowly and am making progress, but don't want to slide all the way back. I have been out of the workforce for 25 years, and since he is giving me enough right now to keep things going, I'm using this time to look for part-time work and probably go back to school. I have spoken to a lawyer to know what my rights are and what to expect and what to do when the time comes. I knew we were entering a transition because the kids were getting older, and after a couple of miscarriages a few years ago, we knew there would be no more children. One of the things that attracted me to him was the fact that his parents were married so long. Both have passed away in recent years, and he had strong feelings about marriage and infidelity. Being a child of divorce, this was important to me since I never wanted my children to go through what I went through. I also never wanted to go through a divorce myself. A small part of me hopes someday for us to put this back together, but it's way too painful to deal with, and I find I do better if I don't entertain the idea right now. Months later, the STBX met the kids for dinner tonight. They get out of the car and there he is with her. Here's the best part. It's someone he has worked with since years ago. I have no clue how long this could have been going on. This woman would have conversations with me when I'd call him at work. When we opened our own business, I was minding the store one day and she called. I had a full-blown conversation about our kids with her. I should explain they worked together for 7 years, but they kept in touch. She was his friend. My God, how stupid could I be? When he left, he refused to tell me who she was. I had a number of scenarios in my head, her being one of them, but I always thought she was too nice to do something like this. This hurts so much more than if it were some bimbo he just picked up at the gym or somewhere else. My children have resisted for 6 months meeting this woman. He has been dropping hints for 2 weeks after he moved out about them meeting her, and they kept saying no. Now he forced this meeting on them. They're both nothing more than garbage. Few months later, things are okay here. I haven't had to deal with him, so that's a plus. It's actually been sort of quiet all around. I'm working a lot, but I'm off next weekend. D24 and I have a concert in Manhattan next Saturday night, and daughter's 21st birthday is the next day. We lost our G, so get-together plans with him are on hold. Not much else going on though. I gave some thought to the dating idea. I think it's too soon. Last night at work, a guy, 47 years old, struck up a conversation with me and the 21-year-old guy I was working with. We were talking about our kids, and as we were talking, he would turn to the 21-year-old and say, "You know, when she and I were kids it was like this or that for us," and then would turn to me and we'd start talking about when we were younger and could stay up all night and get up and function the next day. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it well, but I think you get the hint. A really nice conversation with a stranger. It was nice, gave me an ego boost and brought me to the realization that it's enough for right now. A month later, I guess with the holidays approaching and the fact that it's coming up on a year since he left, my mind tends to wander. I know it's most likely around this time last year that plans for him to leave were underway. He told the kids he doesn't have to see them for Thanksgiving. The kids told me they're fine. One less awkward visit as far as they're concerned. I'm not sure how Christmas will play out yet. It was 6 months since the whole botched other woman introduction. I'm figuring there will be another attempt soon. I can't picture her tolerating being left out or sharing him with them much longer. I spoke to D24 about this. Her response was that hopefully he learned his lesson the last time he tried. On the positive side, the kids are really looking forward to Christmas, certainly more than I am. I'm happy to see that, and even if I have to fake it for them, I will. They feel the pressure of their father is gone, so let's have fun. Oh, and it seems the bagels have stopped. A few weeks ago, I pointed out to him that he was shorting the money he gave me by $20 a week, but I was still paying his gym membership and car insurance. The $20 went back into the weekly money, but the bagels stopped. It looks like I'm getting Christmas since my brother's house won't be ready, so it's another new tradition started and one I'm looking forward to. STBX didn't like having company here. After the first Christmas in this house where we hosted everyone and had a great time, he changed his attitude. It was the first and last Christmas we had here. I see there really is nothing to miss. It was all stress and aggravation with him. We not only enjoyed Thanksgiving, but we are enjoying this whole season so far. As for him, he's digging his hole with his kids a little at a time. D24 needed a new car battery. A place around here was running a special, so she made the appointment and called him. He went to her apartment and immediately was complaining about pulling his back out. Then started complaining that she made a mistake, that she should have gone to his guy. He jumped her battery and followed her there. She told me he made a scene telling her to leave there and go to his guy. She stood her ground and he left. She called all upset. She felt he embarrassed her and resented him telling her what to do. She and I had a long talk about her father being that way toward me for 25 years, and now he was doing it to her. I also tried to explain that the whole pulled back, bad mood was due to his guilt of not seeing them for Thanksgiving. It had nothing to do with her. She understood. She just said she can't deal with him. He makes her anxious. 2 months later. So today marks the 1-year anniversary of him leaving. I'm not sure even where to start. I can't believe that a year has gone by. I had a bad night's sleep last night and woke up this morning with an empty feeling. I stood at my dresser this morning and it popped into my head, the way he got up early that morning, showered and said he was going to the gym. I was half asleep when I realized he was putting on cologne. I woke up and asked him why, and he gave me some dumb excuse. He left and I went back to sleep. It was the last time he did that routine here. Evening came and he called me on the way home from work to ask me to meet him in the car. He had something to tell me, and at that point I knew what was going on. All the strange behavior over the last week since Christmas was making sense now. When I walked out to the car, it was facing in the wrong direction against the curb. I knew what was coming. I got the "I love you but I'm not happy so I'm leaving" speech. Eventually, after my constant questioning for answers, it came out that there was someone else. He left that night and hasn't been in this house since then. I am over him. I realize how much better my life is without him, and I'm much happier now. It doesn't change the fact that today is proving to be very hard. I'm drained and numb. Every insecurity I felt a year ago is back on the surface. I need to work through it again. I need to remember how far I've come, that I'm not that person anymore. It's just something I have to do, I guess. This feels terrible. The thing is, today marking the end of all the firsts. It's done as of today. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of the start of my new life. It's something to look forward to. My comment wanted to end with a happy separation story. Things can get better. Don't worry and enjoy the